Hello everyone, Marion back again. I've got a super tutorial for you today and I don't think it's too early. It's July Advent Garland. When my Advent Garland went up in the Advent Diary last year, I had so many people commenting on how lovely they thought it was and could they have a tutorial and all sorts of things. And I thought, yeah, I'll do that when it's near Christmas. But of course, we crafters, we need more time than just Christmas to do things. Plus, this has to be done ahead of time. You need time to do all this crocheting. And so I'm posting it now because I just recently found out that there's such a thing as Christmas in July, which I hadn't heard of before, just the other week. And so I thought, yep, just do my crocheted garland, and that's what I've done. And I really like the cream stars, and I've made my own pattern for it. And you'll be excited to hear, I hope, that I've at last sorted out how to put them in the shop, and so I now have a free download for the star pattern in the shop. At long last, I've got something else in the shop that you can get. So it's just for free. You just go there, and when you put it in your shopping basket and leave, it'll automatically go to your email address as a download. So it's super simple. It's so simple a beginner who's never done crochet should be able to do, because that's how I'm going to do this tutorial. I'm explaining it for somebody who's never done some crochet, but looking at this, they want to make a garland. So I hope you enjoy it, and stay tuning at the end because I've got some other crochet things to show you, both of which are interesting. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. See you later. Here's the star that I'm going to crochet for you today. I've tried to make it quite a simple pattern. There are only actually 3 rounds in it. And although I know that a lot of us are multi-crafters and have, you know, all different skills, I'm going to explain this as if it's somebody who's absolutely brand new and has never done crochet before, because I want it to be accessible to everybody who wants to try. For the yarn I'm using today, I've got this Stylecraft Special double knit. It's just a cream. So I decided to do all my stars the same colour. I've got a 5mm crochet hook, and it's just a clover one. I find them very comfortable. That's what I'm going to use. I got these little clothes pegs from like a craft shop. It's boys in England, but I suppose like Hobbycraft or something. I actually wanted something a little bit bigger, but these are working fine. And the only other thing I need is a tapestry needle for sewing up right at the end. So I hope I'm going to do this fine because I'm not used to filming my crochet. So to start off, if you've never crocheted before, we need to make a slip knot. And you just put the yarn around your finger, twist your finger, and then you pick up the loop that's going to come underneath. You pull it through. And if you pull that together, you've got a slip knot, which will actually slip. And you can put your hook through, like that, and tighten your loop onto your hook. And I hold my yarn like that, just under and over. And I'm going to hold on to the bottom of the little knot to give some tension. And I need to make 5 chain altogether, and I'm going to count the one that's on the hook now as the first chain. And so the hook's going to pick up that yarn like that, just goes in from the front, and the yarn will go into the hook of the crochet hook, and it'll slide like that back and forward, and you just need to slide it and slide it right through, and then you've still got one loop on your hook, but you've now got 2 chains. And I'm going to do that till there's 5. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the start. And I'm going to turn this into a ring by doing a slip knot, which all that means is I'm going to go back to the very first little chain. I'm going to push my hook through it like that. And I'm going to let my hook carry that thread again, carry the yarn, and I'm going to let it slip through that one and then slip through the one that's still on my hook. So I end up with 1 loop again. What I've actually got is a tiny little circle, which hopefully you can see there. I've put the dark cloth on so it would all show up. So now I'm going to do this first round here, which is 20 trebles. Now I know that US terminology and UK terminology are slightly different. So this is trebles for the UK and double crochet for the US and anybody who uses US terminology. But how do I get from the little circle to the outer side of this part? Well, I have to get up there somehow, and to do that I'm going to make 3 chains. 1, 2, 3, and that means that my crochet hook is now at the top of the circle and I can carry on making other stitches. I'll just open my little loop up there. So that actually counts as the first stitch because I've got up there with the 3 chains, and now I'm going to do my trebles, my treble crochets. So I'm going to hook up a loop, going to put my hook right through the middle, and I'm going to catch the yarn again and pull it back through. So now I've got 3 loops on my hook, and I think that's why the UK calls this a treble. But actually we now pull through twice, and I think that's why the US calls it a double, because now I'm going to go pull up a loop and I'm going to pull through both of those loops. That's 1 pull through. I'm going to pull up the loop and go through both of them. That's twice I've pulled through. So it makes sense to me that that's maybe why US terminology calls it a double. So you can see now I've got 2 stitches, and I'm going to do that until there's 20 stitches. So I'm going to do it again, round with the yarn over my hook, through the circle, pick up that yarn and bring it back through. I've got 3 loops on my hook. The yarn goes round the hook, comes through 2, round the hook, comes through 2. I've got 1 loop left on my hook. Once more, through the circle, pick up a loop. Just get some more thread out, some more. I'm so used to saying thread instead of yarn. 3 loops on the hook, round the hook, pull through 2, round the hook, pull through 2. I'm going to do that at more of a normal pace. Round the hook, through the circle, pick up a loop, round the hook, pull through 2, round the hook, pull through 2. It's like a dance. It's like your crochet hook's dancing round the yarn, or the yarn's dancing round your hook. It's sort of a graceful motion eventually when you get used to it. And you can just carry on, and then every so often just stop and count how many stitches have you got on your little circle. You want to end up with 20. I'll stop then, find out how many I've got. That's probably about 17 or something. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Okay, less than I thought. So if you feel you're running out of room here, just pull them all around. That's absolutely fine. They will fit on. 20 will fit on. Get ready to start again. Oh, I've forgotten how many I said. 13. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19. One more. Okay, I've got 20 stitches. Now I need to close this circle, and for this little pattern it can't be any easier than just finding where your first little hole is between the stitches. You put your hook through, pick up a loop and bring it right the way through, and that's a slip stitch. and now we've closed that circle. So now we're on to row 2, which is how these loops are made. So we're going to make chains, 6 chains, and the chain, as I showed you at the beginning, is just pulling through. That's 1 chain, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we're going to make a double crochet, which is single crochet in US terms. I'm going to miss out one of these stitches, so I'm going to, if you pull your crochet apart, you can see each stitch separately. I'm going to miss that first hole out there, and I'm going to put my hook into the second one. I'm going to put it in and pick up the loop and bring it through, and I've got 2 stitches on my hook, which is why Britain calls it a double crochet. And I pick up the loop and I take it through all of those stitches, and that's a double crochet done. I'm going to do 4 chain now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to miss a stitch, go into the next stitch, pick up my loop, 2 loops on the crochet hook, yarn round the hook, pull through 2. So I've got a big loop and a small loop. I've got a big loop that's going to make the point of the star, and I've got a little loop which makes this little piece in between. So I'm going to alternate all the way around with 6 chains and then 4 chains until I get all the way back to the beginning. So I'm ready for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Miss a stitch, into the next stitch, do my double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Miss a stitch, go into the next stitch, do my double crochet. So I'm going to just finish that off all the way back to the beginning. So here I am just about at the beginning, and the last piece that I've had to do is the little 4 chain. So it goes big, little, all the way around, and I'm ending up with little, which is correct because I started with a big loop. And so for here, the stitch I need to go in is the stitch that started this loop here, which is perfectly fine. So you go into there and do your double crochet, and you're ready for the final round of this little star. So now we're going to put the points on. So I need to get up to the height of the points in the first place, just like I did on that row. And so I'm going to do 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, and that's going to count as my very first stitch. So I need 5 stitches in this loop. So there's number 1. The next one's going to be the treble, so around the hook, through the loop, pick up the yarn, round your hook, through 2, round your hook, through 2. That makes 2 stitches done. This one and that one. I'm going to make sure there's 5 altogether. So there's the 3rd one. Here's the 4th one. And here's the 5th one. Now I need the little loop here that's there at the top, a little pretty bit. Just 4 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'm going to go down the other side of the star's point with another 5 trebles. That's the first point of the star done. And now we've got the little loop. I'm just going to double crochet straight into it. So through the loop, pick up the yarn, yarn round hook, pull through 2. And now I'm ready for the second star point. So I go straight in with my 5 trebles, 4 chain, 5 trebles. 4 chain, 5 trebles. That's my second point done. I'm ready to go into the small loop with a 1 double crochet. That's through the loop, pick up the yarn, yarn over the hook, pull through 2. I've got 3 more points to do and I'll be back at the beginning. Here I am back at the last double crochet, goes in there, and I'm back right at the beginning. And so to finish off, I'm just going to go through that very first loop and do a slip stitch by pulling all the way through. I'm going to cut my yarn, don't need to cut it very long. And then I'm just going to pull the tail of the yarn through the stitch and pull it tight, and that means that your crochet can't actually pull apart. Thread your needle and just thread these through. I crocheted over that at the same time. So to finish it off exactly, I'm going to thread this through my tapestry needle. Now if you're wanting this star for some other reason, you could just thread this leftover yarn through the back and cut it off, but I'm going to attach the little washing, what they call them, pegs, washing line pegs. And so the way I'm going to attach it is just to put my needle through the hole of the spring. I'll hold it up and maybe you can see where it's going. And so I'm going to sew it on. I definitely don't want to sew it on too tight. You need it to be a little bit loose. There's no point putting it right up tight to your star. So I sort of hold it with about 1/2 inch or 1 centimetre apart, and then come back through from the back and sew it down again so that it's secure. And then I thread my yarn through the back of the crochet. Now I've heard people say that they don't know the front or the back of the crochet. Well, how do you know? It looks the same. And to some people maybe it does look the same. The way you tell the front or the back of your crochet is, the front is where you can see the little chain. I'll just show you with my needle. The front is where you can see the little chain coming along. I can count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then my little loop. And if I turn it onto the back, I can't see the chain. You just see the back of the work. So once you get used to knowing that the little chain is the front, you'll know forever. So you need to make 24 of them if you're making an Advent garland. I have my 24 done. The next thing I would do, if you want them to be stiffened a bit, I've stiffened mine with some spray starch on the back. And the other way I've done it before is also just to mix up a bit of white PVA glue, maybe 50-50 with water and PVA, and just get a paintbrush and paint it onto the back and leave them to dry, and that will successfully stiffen them enough that when they hang up they'll stay nicely out like that and they won't go all, you know, funny. I've brought in my own Advent garland so you can see how I've done things. So mine was done with the scrap ends of wool balls that I had left over. That's why they're all different colours, and they're a different pattern because it's just what they are. This is one I've made up myself, but they're all attached to a crocheted chain. Now it did take me ages and a lot of fiddling about until I got them spaced out to exactly what fit my own room. And so what I'm going to say is that if you want them to fit your room, the easiest way that I can think of to do it is to take a piece of yarn and get somebody to help you and hold it from one side to the other side without stretching, but without leaving it in a loop. And if you cut that piece of yarn, that's the amount of chain that you need. And then it's a little bit of trial and error to get them spaced out. I think I got 2 of my stars on my chain, and then I sort of measured it and then times it to see whether it would make something too big or not. But the main thing is just to make lots of chain. So I have a bit of extra chain at the beginning, like that, with a little loop, and that's what I put a drawing pin through, or I've got a little nail in where the ceiling is that I hook that round, and then my first little star comes on. And so it really is just chain, and I'll show you how I'm attaching them. So I'm not even going to count them because it's nothing to do with counting at the minute. It's just to get a bit of chain started off, and you'll soon get in the way of making a chain. This is good practice for chain making. Remember, it's just sliding your hook through all the time. It should be as easy as that, sliding your hook through. So I'm going to make a bit of chain. I suppose you could always use ribbon either, but a ribbon sort of, I don't know, it's not the stretchiness of yarn, and also it can twist, whereas the yarn is like a softer look, I think. It's just nice to have a bit of leeway at each end. So I've made about 10 inches there. I'll make a little bit more. I'll make about a foot at each end. This is where I'm going to start and add my star. I've got my pile of stars. They're all facing upwards with their right side facing up. And I'm going to join them by the loop opposite the clothes peg. I'm going to hold my star, hold my chain, and I'm going to put my hook through this little loop, and I'm just going to do the double crochet. So bringing the loop through, over the hook and through 2, and that little star is now connected. So now I'm actually going to count. I am going to count the chain, and I'm going to see what 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll see how many. There's 20, and I'm going to anchor my next star. And if I do that all the way and make sure I pick them up with their right sides towards me every time, they'll all be facing the proper way. And it will stretch, it'll stretch in use. So that's what I'm going to do for mine. You'd need to decide where you were going to hang it and decide whether you needed them closer together or further apart. And the only other option I can think of would be to not crochet them onto the chain, but to crochet one very long chain that will go wherever you want, and then use these little clothes pegs to actually clothes peg them on afterwards. And you could space them out, and then when you had them right, you could sew them on. So I'm going to continue on until I have every single star attached. So it's just pick my loop. It's the next morning, and I've had these hanging up overnight, and I just did them with some PVA on the back, some watery PVA. I just soaked it in, and it dries perfectly. You know, you can't see it at all, but it just gives them a little bit of, doesn't make them totally unbendable, but it gives them a bit of body. And so they're really looking lovely. So they're all ready now, and so the last thing I need to do to turn this into an advent calendar is get the numbers. And so I've decided to do my new ones out of some blanket, and I have a pile of old blankets that I dyed myself. I'll pull you back so you can see it. So I dyed these all different colours. Mainly they were cream to start with. Oh, that one's a blue one to start with. And I thought they would make really easy stitching to make the numbers, and so I've cut out maybe about 2-inch squares sort of about 5 centimetres. Well, that one's 5.5. Choose yourself really. And if the blanket's very thin, I've been putting 2 pieces together. And if the blanket's very thick, I've just done a single piece. But all I've done is I've got 24, and some of them I've blanket stitched round with the crewel wool, some of them I've running stitched round, and some of them I've overcast, and I've just done that as it suited me. But you could do them all one or the other. So I've got all my pieces here, all my 24, and so the very last thing to do is put the numbers on. And although I did think I was going to do it with crewel wool, I actually didn't like it, and so I've chosen to go with this vintage cotton abroader, which is a single strand of thicker cotton. It's not one you can cut down, but I'm using a double. You could just use your stranded floss, would be no problem at all. And I have just drawn them on carefully with my disappearing pen. I'm not using a knot, I'm just going to go in from the side and pull the end through, and then I'm going to do them all with back stitch. And it's such easy stitching because you're just stitching on blanket. Well, I am anyway, I'm stitching on blanket. So if you don't have blanket, you can use any fabric. You could stiffen your fabric with some interfacing. You could do what I've done with my others and stitch them out of felt. I'd done those with the pinking shears. And actually I thought the blankets were a really nice thing to use. So I've got quite a bit of stitching to do to get all the numbers on. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you how it looks hung up. And what I do is I hang my garland up first without anything else on it, just the stars. And then every day I pick the next number out and I clip it on. And it's really nice. I know there's no pockets to put sweeties in or nothing like that. What I do have are extra little things like this. But I got the patterns of them from another place. Well, that was my own pattern, but some of these are from a lady who specially has lovely felt ornaments for Christmas. So I'll link you to her site. And then some of these I got from a lady who has a lot of free patterns for Christmas knitted wreaths and things. So I'll link you to hers as well. She's called Frankie's Knitted Stuff. And the lady that does these is called Lara, or Larissa I think, mmmcrafts. But the links will be in the description. And so every year I've just done a few more of these until my garland is full. And so every day I put a number and I choose something to put up, and I put that in the middles of on the chain. So I'm going to carry on and do some more stitching, but I'll probably not get these finished by the time I'm showing you the finished end. This is something I'll just have to carry on with at the moment. And here it is, hanging up in my sitting room, which is the only place I could put it to film. And I think it looks really pretty with all the little colours of the numbers hanging on the cream stars. I'll show you a bit closer up. The stars all hang nicely down. The numbers are just nicely clipped in. I've only done up to 10 though. I have to do the rest later. But it's a super project and it's really nice to be hanging all the numbers up as the days come by. And if you want to see what my original garland looks like, you'll have to go to the Advent playlist, Advent Diary playlist. I hope you enjoyed that, because They are very easy to crochet, and those of you who are very experienced probably could just look at that and just do it straight away. But I hope that people who haven't crocheted before really get inspired to just do them, because they don't take very long. I think each star took about 6 or 7 minutes altogether. It wasn't very long. And you need to do 24, so it's a good job they don't take very long. Anyway, I thought I'd show you 2 other pieces of crochet that I've got. The first one I'm showing you because I actually caught K3N's video about her doing the leaves, the pressed leaves, and stitching on the leaves, and it made me get this piece out that I did a few years ago for another stitching book that hasn't been finished. But that is an oak leaf that I blanket stitched around and then crocheted, and then it's stitched down onto this black lining fabric. And so it was supposed to go in a frame and go on the wall, and it never did. And so it's actually waiting to be stitched into another embroidered book that I have on the go at the moment. So that's one, so that's an oak leaf, but that wasn't waxed or anything. That is just stitched and crocheted. The other thing, and this was how I found out about Christmas in July, because I didn't know about that before, is I've been looking at another YouTube channel recently of a lovely young lady who does sort of a vlog style thing, and she's running a Christmas in July pigs in blankets competition, and I just thought it was so charming. So I've actually crocheted a little pig who's wrapped up in a little blanket, and I thought he'd actually be something nice that would actually go on my advent calendar. But I'm entering this into Kayleigh's competition. So I'm going to put a link to Kayleigh's blog, which is called Shadows at Midnight. I'll put a link in the description so you can go and have a look. And if you want to enter your little piggy, it doesn't have to be crocheted. She's accepting pigs in blankets in any medium. So they can be sewing or knitting or crochet or whatever else, I suppose. But I'll link you to Kayleigh's video where she's announcing her pigs in blankets competition, and I think it's open till into August, so you've got plenty time to come up with some. But I've put a little curly tail on mine, and he's not very pink because I didn't actually have, the only bit of pink yarn I had was that bit of cotton, and there wasn't enough to do a whole pig, so it's sort of got a bit of a greyish, like off pink colour, but he's super cute. Actually, I don't know whether he looks like a pig now when I'm looking at it on the camera. He is, he's a pig. He's my version of a pig anyway. So have a look at that and enter a pig. Why not? So here it is, the draw for the sewing basket. I've posted in the URL to this random comment picker, and so that's my video that's about to get loaded in. I'll put fetch. Anything goes, I think that's the right one. No, I don't want to do a keyword, and don't include replies, and I don't allow duplicates. It'll load up all the comments. It will take a little minute because there was quite a lot, but it won't take long. Good luck everyone. Pick a winner. Leslie Bland 1503. I loved your video. Living down south, things are so much more expensive here, even at car boot sales. Having said that, I got a lovely man's linen shirt for £3.50 at a charity shop. Oh well, that's brilliant, Leslie, and you are the winner. So you'll have to get in touch with me. Probably the easiest will be via Instagram, because you can send me a message, a private message with your address, and we'll sort it out from there. So commiserations everyone else, and well done to Leslie. And yeah, I'll let you see what I send to Leslie when I've got it sorted out. So, brilliant. Thanks a lot. Well, that's brilliant. So Leslie please just get in touch with me and we'll sort out how I can get the sewing box to you when I know where you live, and commiserations to everyone else. And I'm just going to end the video now by just saying thank you everyone. Thanks for all the comments. I have actually got around to doing all of them, so that's really good. And I know I don't seem to get around to doing the Ko-fi ones. I just run out of time sometimes, when I'll try and get onto that this weekend. So thank you to everyone for your comments, for your support all over the place, over on Ko-fi, here on the channel. The fact that you just continue to enjoy what I'm doing is just a bonus to me anyway. So thanks a lot, and happy stitching to you all, and enjoy the summer if summer's arrived for you, because it definitely has here at the moment. I've got the door open and it's looking as if it's going to be a nice afternoon. Thanks a lot, and I will see you next time when you come to visit me. Bye everyone. Well done, Leslie.